The FRS Formula 90s race is about to get underway here at Monza. WOTTON in the Williams Renault starts on pole position ahead of MARR in the ANDREA MODA. There's a lot of different cars from one of the greatest eras in Formula 1 on the grid. Riley in the Ferrari in third ahead of CULLEN in the second Williams Honda. The Lotus Honda of McKEEVER in fifth ahead of CLARKE in the SAUBER Mercedes. MORTON in the MINARDI Ford ahead of REID in the BENETTON Ford. HOMEWOOD in the Ferrari starts in ninth ahead of WOLFENDEN in the LIGIER Renault. As they make their way to the grid now, Rota is ahead of STEARN, McLaren Honda and LEYTON House JUDD, with Street in the McLaren Honda 13th and CAWLEY in the Jordan Ford. Racing in remembrance of his dog, who sadly passed away not too long ago. But as we're ready for the race start, it's a bit of creeping from the Williams on the pole position, and it stalls. There's contact with the ANDREA MODA. The ANDREA MODA inherits pole position effectively as there was a staller for WOTTON, making their way down towards the first corners for the first time. A few lockups, it's very tight, making their way through. Now an error type chicane, a bit of contact in the background. Someone half spins the Ligier. It looked like there was contact there. Also with the LEYTON House onto the gravel. CLARKE made a storming start into second place, and that's CAWLEY. That's CAWLEY in the Jordan Ford. Not the start that he would have wanted to make. Couldn't make a very good corner through there. HOMEWOOD in the Ferrari also involved. So down to 14th. Time to make it up though in this quite long race here at Monza. So as they make their way through the second chicane now, side by side, there's the Williams, the Sauber's gone wide, there's contact with the Ferrari there as well. Someone nudges the barrier, it looked to be MARR there, and in the background the LEYTON House colliding with a tyre barrier, but that's CLARKE. The number 9th place car for the Sauber Mercedes is in the barrier but continues on. MARR at the inside now, coming into the second Lesmo. A little bit of time lost there for the other car that was in the gravel, but the gravel is very sticky around here. The Ferrari right up the inside, almost light contact there as a few people do go wide. The Williams is off, that's WOTTON, the Williams Renault from bad to worse, the man that couldn't get the car off the line for the first time. Moving into the next lap, the second contact with the, and that's a big nerve, that's poor STEARN there, who got absolutely nailed there. Unfortunately, he will continue on, but as CULLEN is your race leader ahead of MARR, 2.2 seconds, great first lap ahead of McKEEVER, REID, Riley and WOTTON the top six, and that's 8 seconds running the top six at the moment. REID in fourth, he's got third place McKEEVER, just about avoiding contact, but great battle for the final spot on the podium, accelerating out of the first chicane. A little bit of weaving left and right, it's very challenging at a slightly colder circuit just to get that tyre temperature into the car. Another lockup, you want to brake hard but not too hard, you could go straight on, and he's been caught napping. Oh no, the Benetton has gone wide. It's an interesting helmet aboard the Benetton, but goes wide through the gravel, loses a couple of places, streaming their way through the first right hand of the first Lesmo. Second Lesmo sends it right up the inside, so through onto the inside has gone the Jordan. Street in 14th place in the McLaren Honda, accelerating out of the gravel, gets a great exit out of the second chicane into the first Lesmo, runs a little deep onto the grass. Also onto the grass there is CLARKE in the Sauber. The Sauber is fighting hard with WOLFENDEN, so WOLFENDEN and CLARKE very tight at the moment. CLARKE goes to driver's right hand side to try and take the inside, looks to the outside. WOLFENDEN defends in the Ligier. The Ligier versus the Sauber, a great sight we used to have in the Formula 90s. And as they make their way into the second chicane, WOLFENDEN defends very well. Von CLARKE sits in the middle of the road, making it very difficult for CLARKE to make his way through on the inside. He looks up the inside at the first Lesmo, has to back out of it, and the Ligier stays ahead of the Sauber for now. Very lovely liveries. We're no longer graced with, sadly, in the Grand Prix racing scene, but side by side down the very long straight up towards the Curvascari. So CLARKE is now through and made a great overtake. WOLFENDEN's going to try and make his way through, can't though, is a little bit further behind through the Ascari, and CLARKE goes through. WOLFENDEN into the tyres. Oh no, that's a shame there for Kevin, one of our FRS regulars. Cullen and MARR. We're watching MARR at the moment, 1.9 seconds behind the race leader. And ANDREA MODA lasting a surprising amount of time, really. Wouldn't have normally made it past the third or fourth corner, in all honesty, but is a bit of a historic license, how we shape it. Great to have a diversity of liveries on the grid, can enjoy some sights we used to see, or certainly in this case not quite used to see. Battle for third still on. Cullen, MARR and McKEEVER your top three. WOOTON and CAWLEY now in the Jordan, getting into the battle for third, fourth and fifth. Through the second Lesmo, line of STEARN, three cars in quick succession, the Ferrari based cars with those fantastic V12 engines, as well as the turbocharged V6 is looking very competitive into Kvyatskaya. A little bit of going over the corners, but CAWLEY makes it past WOOTON in the Williams. Gets a bit of a slipstream right around driver's left hand side. So much greater straight line speed for the Jordan. He's just got to make the move complete into the final corner, into the Parabolica. He does. So Jordan in the Jordan car is now into the podium positions, but not for long. Into the pit lane comes CAWLEY, as well as the Lotus behind it, the Camel Lotus. So as they make their way now out of the first chicane, and MARR's made a spectacular amount of time. Cullen, the race leader, being challenged just 0.3 of a second ahead of MARR. Could it be that Cullen's on a different strategy to MARR? MARR's pushing very hard, 5 laps in. WOOTON 5 seconds back ahead of MORTON, CLARKE and CAWLEY, 4th, 5th and 6th. Into the first Lesmo we go again. A little bit deeper for that Williams Renault. ANDREA MODA really breathing down their neck. He goes quite deep. MARR looks for the inside. Oh no, he's on the gravel. Oh no, into the barrier. And that's disaster for the ANDREA MODA driver of MARR. Certainly think there's a career in punditry ahead of him with that driving. But now under attack from the second Williams. That is through on the inside, so up into second place. Disaster for MARR as he goes onto the gravel. He's really lost his head and has just got to carry on. And once again, will he get ever back into a straight line in this car? Seemingly not. I imagine he could well be pitting for new tyres on this lap. Down the back straight and up towards the Parabolica. Helicopter flying above, watching every moment of this race, much as we are at the moment, very deep into the Parabolica as well. So a disastrous lap for MARR, and indeed does head into the pit lane. A bit of a break, bit of a lock-up, and this could be the all-encompassing start. MORTON in the Minardi forward into second, certainly taking the old style chicane and deciding not to use any of the tarmac offered by the organisers. But WOOTON, MORTON, CLARKE is now your top three, with Cullen, CAWLEY and McKEEVER the top six. MARR's dropped out after challenging for the race lead. MARR has dropped down all the way to 8th, with Riley ahead of him now. REID in 9th place ahead of Roto, Street and Homewood. And that's your top 12 as it stands at the moment here at Monza, the FRS Formula 90s race. Here's CLARKE. He's got the LEYTON house ahead of him. The LEYTON house moves out the way. A little bit of contact, but non-intended. Gets his way through. Very interesting battling still going once again. CLARKE banging wheels to wheels, and oh no, they've both collided. CLARKE in third place is into the barriers. He gets it going, and he gets the power on. So he's going to rejoin safely. He waits at the side of the track in order for there to be an opening. The rear wheel spinning in frustration for CLARKE, who was enjoying a great podium position provisionally there. Unfortunately, a bit of contact had put paid to that, but still got well enough time in this race to get that position back. Through the first Lesmo, into the second Lesmo. Cullen leads this race after that little bit of a dice for the race lead earlier on, and continues with some more consistency. Is being challenged now, though. The Jordan closes in. Will CAWLEY get a chance to fight for the race lead, breaking into the Kvyatskaya, and through the Ascari, fantastic corner there, made the most of all the curving and everything on offer here at the Monza circuit. CAWLEY in the slipstream, closing in down to the Parabolica. Isn't close enough to make a move. They overrun a little bit deep. CAWLEY trying to find a bit of a faster exit as they make their way down the start-finish line now. It's a fantastically long run, over 200 miles an hour. There's someone exiting the pit lane. This could be very close. That looks to be like Clarke into the chicane. First chicane for the first time. No, that was the second Williams. So it's now Cullen ahead of CAWLEY. Just 0.6 of a second the gap between the pair. WOTTON in third place. So it's Cullen, CAWLEY, WOTTON in the top three ahead of Riley. MARR now making some progress ahead of the rest of the field. So as they make their way into the second chicane, once again a big lock up right up the back goes CAWLEY. He's fighting tooth and nail for the position. They've got to get past the LEYTON house as a blue flag being waved does move out of the way for the top two in this race. Very excellent driving being shown there by STEARN. Side by side for the race lead though, and CAWLEY does briefly go through. Got some great straight line speed, makes it look easy as they make their way through on Cullen. Cullen brakes and through the Ascari they go once again. It's a very challenging section and CAWLEY runs deep. He loses some time. He's got the Williams behind him, focusing very hard as well. They make their way down the back straight. There was a slow Lotus there for McKEEVER. Not quite sure what the problem is there with the driver, but we will try and get some more information on that shortly. Meanwhile, Williams is 2 and 3, but it is the Jordan in the race lead. It's 3 for the race lead. Over the line, are they going to try and go 3 abreast? Almost. It's a bit of a challenge to do so, weaving left and right, trying to find that space on the grid. Oh, what an audacious move there by WOTTON, who makes it into the race lead, albeit temporarily, by the next corner. Side by side again through the Curve Grande, the first corner at the circuit, the first long corner at the circuit again. Side by side action for the race lead. CAWLEY does maintain the race lead. Cullen looks to defend, in fact gets a fantastic run out of the final corner into the first Lesmo, and it's side by side. CAWLEY into the gravel. Oh no, CAWLEY out of the battle for the race lead. The two Williams side by side, WOTTON and Cullen in the battle now, but CAWLEY makes it through once again. So CAWLEY now is fighting tooth and nail to get the lead back in this race. And it looks certain a few moments ago, but has got to do it all again. Through the rest of the field and into the Ascari, down the back straight and into the final corner. Looks to make a bit of a move. Very, very close, very fast, but couldn't make it on that lap. So as they make their way up towards the first corner again, over the start-finish line in the slipstream, WOTTON and CAWLEY first and second, Cullen, Riley, MARR, McKEEVER the top 6 as it stands. 12 laps, not too long to go in this race. And through the first chicane, taking a big old bite out of the curb. The pair of them go through the gravel. What are they doing? Oh no! CAWLEY again slows out of the corner. The exits with these cars, quite difficult to really get it perfect, but if you make it a mistake like John did there, it's oh so wrong indeed. Into the second chicane now. Williams, Jordan, your top 3 out of the corner and into the first Lesmo, a long right-hander, very quick. You've got to be very careful, you want to be close to the wall, but don't touch it by all means. Out of the second corner they go, the second part of the Lesmos they go, and as CAWLEY looks around the car, it's flying through this Monza circuit, going very quickly indeed. A shot of the MINARDI of MORTON, and WOLFENDEN in the Ligier Renault in 11th place now, looks to be closing in on the Lotus of McKEEVER. A bit of a slower exit there for WOLFENDEN, but certainly giving it a great race in the Ligier. So it's WOTTON, Cullen, CAWLEY ahead of MORTON, MARR and REID. Rota, Clarke and Riley 7th, 8th and 9th ahead of HOMEWOOD, WOLFENDEN and STEARN. And that's the top 12 as it is so far. Oh, and that's a big crash. That's STEARN in the LEYTON house. That's a big crash there for the 12th place driver. Lost a rear wing, in fact. Will make it a lot quicker down the straight, but as you saw there, and Clarke, that's Clarke in 9th place with some damage as well. Could the two be connected? It looks like they've gone off at the same place on the circuit. Here is a replay, slow action, and bang! That's a big crash for the pair of them. The helicopter there is got a great view of it, but CLARKE there with some damage, or in fact a significant amount of damage, to try and continue. Meanwhile, HOMEWOOD in the Ferrari in 9th place now, a beneficiary of all of that, and has moved up into the top 10. The Tifosi cheering on the Ferrari driver. The former Gerhard car over the line now. And the two cars out of the way, all safely done. So, Williams first, Williams second, and Jordan third. 16th lap completes with WOTTON leading the race ahead of CULLEN, with CAWLEY third ahead of MORTON, MARR and REID, the top 6. The MINARDI going very well in 4th place, stayed out of most of the battles and most of the wars here at Monza, which is really the best way to go for it. So, through the Ascari for one of the last times in this race. There isn't a long time to go in this race, just a few more laps to complete. Heading up towards the Parabolica again, and the Williams is looking very secure. The V12 powered one versus the V6 powered one. They make their way through the Parabolica once again, and number 5, Renault Williams car, looking to take another victory, as they did many times in period. The Jordan is closing in though. That's green 7-up. Jordan is making the best of the speed on board. That driver, CAWLEY, very quick. There's a takeaway banner in the middle of the circuit. They do avoid it, which is excellent, but the battle for the race lead is closing up once again into the braking zone. Bit of a lock up there from the second Williams. They take alternating lines through the chicanes. Very hard to negotiate them at this speed, and it's getting very tight for second place. Could this even be for the race lead? Making their way through the second Lesmo. There's another driver in this race. They're having to make their way past, and they do get past the Ligier. Got some great straight line speed, and the first Williams has broken through just about. They're going to have to use this as a bit of a tactical overtake, and the Williams right around the outside, but makes a mistake, goes wide into the gravel and spins. That's CULLEN into third place and into the barriers. My goodness me, what a shame there. The battle there is disrupted, but now it's a 2-horse battle for the race lead right around the outside of the Parabolica. That is the Minardi now having to make his way through the traffic. MARR closed up significantly for 4th and 5th, and MORTON going right over the line, over the white line, trying to defend that position. They're desperate to get some points in this race. The minnows of Formula 1 motor racing certainly fighting hard. A big lock up there from MORTON, goes deep. MARR has to attack vigorously to try and get through. No luck as of yet. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. Up ahead of them, they've got the Williams, so this could well be the podium battle now for 3rd place. MARR's going to be feeling like it's an overtake right up the inside. They both go deep, and MARR with the cutback gets it through. The Minardi has to sit behind him. Well, they both made the mistake. He just had to make the best of the opening where they could. The Minardi, though, will certainly try to fight it, although not like that. Over the grass, not the best way to try and regain the position. With a few moments left to go in this race, this could prove critical in this particular battle. Down towards the Ascari again, and there could be another late overtake for the Minardi, just so late onto the brakes. Closes up where MARR struggles in that late braking moment. The Minardi blessed with a great exit out of the Ascari up towards the Parabolica. They've got past the Williams, although it is the Williams, the number 5, which is heading towards the line for the final time, weaving left and right, and is about to take the victory there. WOOTON in the Williams Renault is your race winner after half an hour of close racing. CAWLEY comes home in 2nd place, and MARR comes back in 3rd, but MORTON in 4th ahead of REID. Riley 6th ahead of Rota, with Wolfenden finishing ahead of CULLEN, who had a penalty. That was for not taking the mandatory pit stop in the pit stop window in the race. HOMEWOOD in 10th ahead of McKEEVER, CLARKE, STEARN and Street.